the entire universe as well as every item in the universe is the effect of a certain cause. Certain cause means the immediate cause for the existence of some item. But that immediate cause is followed by a series of causes. For example, we are existing in this universe, and I am here on this chair in this room. There is an event, and there is an immediate cause for my being on this chair in this room to record this Dhamma talk. But that is the immediate cause, but there is a series of causes behind my being here. I am here because I am born here in this world. I am born here because of certain past karma and so on. And if you go further and further away into the past, we cannot find the first cause or the ultimate cause of my existence or the existence of anything in this universe. That is why Buddha said, Anamataggo bhikkhave ayam sansaro pubbha koti napanyayati. I myself cannot see the beginning of this existence called samsara. I don't know where I started my samsara life. That's what Buddha meant. But some religions identify an omnipotent, all-powerful God who created this universe and everything in it. In Buddhism, there is no creator, but there is a creativity. There is no creator God, but there is a godly nature in every one of us. In most cases, hidden. The highest godly nature at the time of the Buddha was called Brahma. He was the highest God, Brahma. We now call that God Mahabrahma, supermost God, with the highest qualities of virtue. And that nature is called Brahmacharya. Virtue is not something stable, but a creativity. Brahma creativity, sublime behavior. Brahmacharya means sublime behavior. Our behavior can be either sublime by being divine, or it can be even devilish. One can become divine due to certain causes, and it can become a devil due to certain causes. Vidarsana Bhavana means insight meditation. Awareness is just being aware of the event of the present moment. But Vidarsana means going beyond the present moment, the present event, and seeing through it, deep into it. And when we go deep into our own mind, we can experience, and millions have experienced, a sublime mind, a sublime state of our mind, free from all mental defilements. Defilements are called kilesa. They are foreign to our mind. That's why Buddha said, Agantuke upakilite upakilito. The original mind is radiant and brilliant, illuminated, pure, resplendent. That purity of that mind is polluted by foreign elements called kilesas or mental defilements. Once those mental defilements are removed, they are going to be a sublime state of mind beyond that defiled mind. Mind gets defiled by certain causes. Not only defiling of the mind, but even the purification of mind is by certain causes. The entire material world, the physical world in which you live, is a product of a series of causes. Therefore, Buddha referred to every phenomenon in this universe as Sankata Dhamma. Sankata means conditional. Everything appears due to certain conditions. And beyond that, at the background of that, there is an unconditional state of mind. It may be wrong to use the mind, but an unconditional state called nirvana. And Buddha says it has no cause. It is not the product of a certain cause condition. It is not the product of a certain cause. It is causeless. While every item in this universe and every event in this universe is conditioned and caused by certain causes, while they are effect of certain causes, nirvana is not an effect of a cause. In the Tatya Nibbana Sutta, Buddha referred to the nature of the uncaused nirvana, saying, it is not born, ajatam. It is not an event, it is not a happening, abhutam. It is not something done by oneself or somebody else. And that is referred to in Pali, in Buddha's language, as akatam, not done. And it is not composed of things that were available before that. It is not a composition. And that is called asankata. All compositions of our mind are also called sankata, and composing of such forms are called sankhara. All mental formations are caused by our thinking. And thinking Buddha referred to in the very first discourse called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta as the product of the mental process. He said, Sankittena panja padana kandhapi dukkha. All suffering that we undergo are the effect of our thinking process, Sankha. That is why Buddha said in his first paean of joy, at its enlightenment, when he realized nirvana, the thinking process ceased. The cause of suffering ceased. The cause for thinking, according to Buddha, thinking process is suffering, dukkha satya, the truth of suffering. The truth is caused by dukkha samudaya, the cause of suffering. Buddha referred to the immediate cause of suffering as tanha, meaning thirst for pleasure. Not only thirst for pleasure, thirst for acquiring pleasure and removing pain. He referred to these two aspects as bhavatanha and vibhavatanha. Thus, bhava means to happen. We want something pleasant to happen. We want the happening of the event of a pleasure to happen. And we desire, we have thirst, pain not to happen. Vibhavatanha. Our thirst for the happening of pleasures and non-happening of pains is due to our basic thirst called kama tanha, the thirst for pleasure, sensual pleasures. Sensual pleasures means those objects that please our sense organs. We have 5 external sense organs called eye, ear, nose, tongue and skin. We want objects to please those sense organs. That gives a pleasant sensation. And those sensations are reflected in our inner sensory organ called our mind. Mind too is a sensory organ. Mind senses the sensations directed by sense organs. For example, we have brain with lot of memories, lot of images remaining as memories, and they get intrude often by certain stimulation. And certain mental images are pleasant and certain mental images are unpleasant. But we always desire for our mind to be pleasant, not unpleasant, not of pain. To get rid of pain, Buddha said, our desire for pleasure must be uprooted. That is called tanhakaya. Tanha is the cause of suffering according to Buddha. Cause of suffering is dukkha samudaya, the cause of suffering, Buddha referred to as tanha, the thirst for pleasure, the thirst for happiness, the thirst for pleasantness, the thirst for enjoyment of senses, and so on. That lead to suffering because of the nature of the entire universe and every item in it. The triple nature of the universe is referred to by the Buddha as Tilakkhana, triple nature, Lakshana in Sanskrit. Three means three, Lakshana means the nature, triple nature. But the triple nature of every item in this universe, as well as the entire universe, the universe is constantly active. Even what seems dormant are not really dormant. We see a rock or mountain as not active. But every atom in the rock is constantly active. In every atom, there is a new electron moving around the nucleus of the atom. And in the nucleus of the atom, there are protons and neutrons rotating around themselves. They are active. The latest physical theory founded by physics is called master theory, M theory, is called string theory. There were 5 string theories that developed from 1970 to 1995, and in those theories that ultimately amalgamated into master theory called M theory, the basic principle is every item in this universe is composed of vibrating energy, and that energy that is vibrating within any item is called a string, vibrating strings, which has no particular form. Vibration means changing. Electrons are made of vibrating energy strings. So are protons and neutrons. And neutrons and protons are made of quarks, and even the quarks are made of vibrating strings according to the latest theory. That means entire universe and every item, big or small, is vibrating and active. And that is called anitya. The verbal meaning is changing, dynamic, impermanent. Those are the translations of the word anicca. But we have to think of the reality behind that word. Every atom in the universe is dynamic and active. Because that activity, constant activity, dukkha means transformation of that particular form of energy. That is called transformation of energy. Energy is creativity, not a thing. Because of energy, things are getting transformed every moment. And that's called dukkhata. Anicchata is one aspect of the nature, and dukkhata, the transformation of energy, is another aspect. Because of that constant transformation, nothing can retain a permanent identity, and that is called anattata. It is the realization of this truth that enables one to eradicate the thirst for pleasure, the thirst for gaining pleasure and removing pain, making one capable of seeing things as they are changing. That is called yatha bhuta jnana darsana, seeing things as they are. What is the real nature of things? They are dynamic, they are changing, and nothing can retain a permanent identity. One item may be pleasant at one moment, that pleasantness cannot be retained by that item throughout. It also changes. The truth behind that change is called jati, jara, marana. Everything in this world is born to decay and die. There is the realization that the Buddha's first disciple called Kondanya, ascetic Kondanya, had at the end of the Buddha's first discourse called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Buddha, at the end of the sermon, uttered Ayatmuto Anya Kondanyasya Virijam Vetamalan Dhammacakku Muddapadi. There arose in the Reverend ascetic Kondanya the capacity to see the real nature of things. We cannot see things outside our body. We can see only what our sense organs reflect in our mind. And they are all mental images. Every thought is a mental image. Every feeling is a mental image. Anger is a mental image. Hatred is a mental image. Love is a mental image. It means formation. Reverend ascetic Kondanya realized that all mental forms are changing constantly. Yankinchi samudaya dhamman sabbantan nirodhammanti. They appear, disappear. With that realization, his bhavatanha, the desire for the manifestation of pleasure, got diminished. The desire for non-manifestation of pain disappeared. Because both pleasure and pains are the effect of causes. When there is no cause, there is no effect called pain or pleasure. Another fact is, all pains and pleasures are subject to birth, decay and death. Therefore, realization came, there is no point in being attached to anything or resenting anything or ignoring anything. And there is the nature, the realization of a sublime mind, an enlightened mind. Knowing that we are living in a conditional world, conditions which are not under our control. Our entire body and mind are conditional. I can see under certain conditions. Ear can hear certain things under certain conditions. Nose can smell something. Tongue can taste something. Body can touch something under certain conditions. There must be conditions. There must be objects for the sensation. Presence of the object of sensation is a cause of sensation. And because of sensation, there appears mental formation, mental images. They all are born to decay and die. With that realization, one's mind becomes calm and quiet. Restlessness of the mind disappears. Mind gets ready to accept things as they are by seeing things as they are. The nature of an enlightened mind is seeing things as they are, and that is called Yatha Bhuta Jnana Darsana. And that mind is able to accept things as they are, Yatha Bhuta Jnana Darsana. If you can accept things as they are, because things are, now even a person gets angry. That anger is beyond his control. There must be causes and conditions for his anger. A person is very much pleasant and happy, and there must be causes for that happiness. Both happiness and unhappiness are based on causes. Everything in this world is based on causes. We are not the omnipotent God able to change all conditions. We have a body made under certain conditions. We can't change that body, the shape, the height, the color, the beauty or the ugliness as we want it. So is our mind. Under certain conditions we get angry. Under certain conditions we become unhappy. Under certain conditions we become happy. We all are undergoing conditional responses. And as I mentioned earlier, nirvana is a state that is not conditioned, not depend on any effect, any cause. It is not an effect of a cause. And that state of mind cannot be disturbed. The bliss of nirvana cannot be disturbed by any event in the world. That is what it is said in the Mangala Sutra, Puttasya loka dhamme chittang asana kampati. Their mind cannot be moved, that bliss cannot be moved. Yatinda kilo patavin sitosi, as said in the Pratana Sutra. A stable mind. That mind is an unconditional mind. Conditional mind is changing with the change of conditions. Unconditional mind called nirvana is not changing. Nirvana is not the effect of a cause, but all our mental images are effects of causes. And we are guided, we are controlled by our mental images. Our capacity to be enlightened is to go deep into these changing mental conditions, and that is called insight meditation. Through insight meditation, one can reach the unconditional state of mind, penetrating through the conditional states of mind. And that has to be done gradually, little by little, with the growth of wisdom, the capacity to be blissful that is intrinsic and instinctive in us.